Somewhere on the internet, a stranger knew my habits better than I did. What I didn't realize was, it wasn't a stranger. It was someone I knew. I found myself on a Stalker subreddit. Welcome to Clock Strikes 3 Storytime. Let's begin. I've always been a quiet girl, not shy, but not very sociable either. I wasn't one for drama. I liked the quiet, but secretly I longed to be seen. That's why Diana and I got along so well. We weren't best friends in the movie sense, but we shared something better, peace. She was a med student in her last year of residency. She was soft-spoken and shy, with big glasses that always slid down her nose. If she had a social life beyond anatomy textbooks and caffeine, I never saw it. Then she started dating Anthony. I still remember the first time I saw him in our flat. Tall, fit, handsome, way too put together to be real. He had this polished calm about him, like he was always 2 moves ahead in a game you didn't know you were playing. Diana said they met when her laptop crashed, and he helped fix it. IT guy for the hospital. I didn't get it at first. I didn't want to disrespect Diana, but Diana wasn't the kind of girl a guy like him usually looked at twice. But he treated her well, brought groceries, cooked us dinner, homemade manicotti, fixed the leaky faucet, called her Dee, and kissed her forehead like they'd been married for years. Diana said he was old-fashioned. After a few weeks, they still hadn't done more than kiss. She said his family was religious, and she said she respected that. It was her first real boyfriend since high school. Anthony seemed too good to be true, but eventually I stopped questioning it and decided to be happy for Diana. A couple of weeks later, I met Dean. It was one of those dumb trivia nights I never go to. My more outgoing friend, Laura, dragged me along. The bar split us into random teams. Dean ended up on ours. Tall, athletic build, and unstoppable at sports and movie trivia. He was a little rough but sweet. He played professional rugby and hoped to break into the majors. I liked him immediately. We started seeing each other. It was slow, easy, the kind of romance that builds like a familiar song. I even thought about bringing Dean home for Christmas. Diana approved of him, said he was sweet and down to earth. Anthony didn't seem to take to him. He grew strangely quiet whenever Dean was around. I wondered if Anthony was the jealous type. He didn't talk about himself, so I could only guess. The first night Dean slept over, I didn't think much of it. When I woke up, the flat smelled like eggs and spicy sausage. Pulling on my robe, I stepped into the kitchen, desperately in need of coffee. Anthony stood by the counter with Diana. They were laughing as he unpacked a brown paper bag. He looked up and smiled, cool, effortless, and placed a foil-wrapped burrito on the counter. "Your favorite," he said cheerfully. I glanced down. Eggs, French fries, sausage, extra hot sauce. From that tiny food truck, only open on weekend mornings. It was my favorite, but how would he know that? Diana beamed. "Isn't he great? He just guessed what we'd like." But I noticed he didn't get her order right. I opened my mouth to crack a joke about him being psychic, but before I could, my bedroom door creaked open. Dean stumbled out, shirtless, pajama pants, sleep-tangled hair, eyes squinted against the light. He didn't see any of us, just wandered toward the bathroom, bumping into the door on his way in, half asleep. When the door closed behind him, I noticed something in Anthony. Something in his face shifted. A tightness around the mouth, a flicker of shadow in his eyes, a twitch of his finger against the counter, like he was tracing something. Then it vanished. He smiled again and pulled Diana close, hugged her a little too tightly. I saw her wince. I told myself he was just being protective. A few days later, Anthony brought his younger brother over. Michael, 19, barely out of high school, still lived with their parents. From what Diana told me, he wasn't doing much with his life. He worked part-time at a fast food place. No friends, no plans, just video games and late-night internet videos, if you know what I mean. He smelled like stale fries and burnt grass. Anthony said he wanted to get him out of the house, let him interact with actual people. Michael didn't talk much. When he did, it was mumbled or oddly intense. He stared a lot, mostly at me and at my feet. At one point, he asked if I always wore socks in the house. I laughed awkwardly. Yeah, usually. He just nodded, slowly, like that meant something. Anthony laughed it off, but I caught him watching me as I spoke with his brother, studying me. After they left, I told Diana, "Your boyfriend's brother is weird." She agreed, then brushed it away. Anthony says their parents coddled him too much because he's awkward with people. Still, something about the way Anthony studied me, like he was anticipating something, unsettled me. And then things started going missing. Small things at first. A pair of earrings, my nail clippers, a sock, my favorite pencil, a small trinket box full of hairpins and barrettes, gone from my nightstand. 2 nights later, I got the first email. No subject, no name, just a string of random letters. I almost deleted it. Then I saw the message. "Thought you looked nice today, princess. Click to view." My stomach flipped. Something told me to look. I clicked. It was a Reddit post on a thread about stalk-worthy redheads. The title, "Princess Shortcake has no idea I took this." My body tensed. Princess Shortcake, my dad's nickname for me. Something he hadn't used in years. Only very few knew about it. I was embarrassed by it. It was a reference to my red hair and my fondness for strawberry shortcake. The photo showed me in the library's West Wing, me in my old favourite black hoodie, one leg tucked under me, chewing my pencil. It had to be about 6 months ago, last semester. I knew because I had to get rid of that hoodie after I had spilled bleach on it while cleaning the flat. The caption read, "She chews the eraser when she's stressed, preparing for finals, princess." My heart thudded. I slammed my laptop shut. Panicked, I looked around my room. Nothing. No one. I didn't tell Dean or Diana. Not yet. Because maybe, just maybe, it wasn't me in the photo. Maybe it was just someone who looked like me. I wanted to believe that. I needed to. But then, how did they know about Princess Shortcake? I tried not to think about it. But I couldn't help but wonder about Anthony's brother, Michael. The second post appeared 2 days later. This time it was a photo of me outside my flat, facing away from the camera, adjusting my headphones. It was probably just a few weeks ago. The caption read, "She always looks both ways. Smart girl. Maybe too smart." I stopped wearing those headphones, started locking my bedroom door at night, started looking behind me more than in front. Dean noticed. "You okay?" he asked one night as we lay on his couch watching something forgettable on TV. "Yeah," I said. "Just tired." He paused the show. "Is something bothering you?" I hesitated, then told him just enough. That I'd been getting strange emails. that someone was watching me. Dean's face darkened. Have you thought about getting cameras? Cheap ones, motion sensors, just to be sure. I hadn't, but the way he said it, calm but protective, made me feel like I wasn't losing my mind. So I bought 2. Nothing fancy. One I tucked into the bookshelf in the living room, angled to cover the kitchen and common space. The other I placed high on a shelf in my bedroom, facing the door and the bed. That weekend, Diana and Anthony invited me and Dean to do a movie night at the flat. Dean and I made pasta. Diana made popcorn. Anthony brought wine. We watched a dumb slasher flick while Michael sat on the floor, staring too long at every scream scene. At some point, I got up to use the bathroom. When I came back, I stopped in the hallway. Michael was in the kitchen, alone. He had the fridge open, drinking orange juice straight from the carton. His other hand rested on the fridge, on a photo of me and Diana from last Christmas. His thumb ran along the edge of my face, slowly, like he was petting it. He looked up, saw me. I kept my voice flat. You know other people want to drink that, right? He smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. I like how you smell, he whispered. Clean. I backed into the hallway, heart hammering. That night, after everyone had left, I checked the camera feeds. The living room footage showed nothing unusual, just movie night. Normal, except for how many times Michael's eyes drifted toward me. The bedroom footage was different. At 3:03 a.m., the door opened slowly. The motion sensor triggered. I stirred, but didn't wake. And then, a shape. Not a person, not fully. Just a tall, shadowy silhouette, half formed in the dark, standing next to my bed. Not moving, not breathing, just there, watching. It stayed for 6 seconds, then, in a blink, it was gone. I replayed it, over and over. Same timing, same stillness. No footsteps, no trace of entry, just gone. That night I barely slept. I should have known something was coming. I'd felt it all week, like the air in the flat had changed. Thicker, heavy with something just beyond the edge of sound. After the last post, Dean slept over as often as his schedule allowed. It was rugby season, so that meant he was on the road a lot. I didn't want him to put his career on hold for me, not for this. Anthony demanded that he stay with Diana and me in the flat for a while, just till we could figure this out. He said that the police couldn't do anything with what we had yet. I wanted to ask him about his brother, but how do you ask someone something like that? In the meantime, Dean's condition was getting worse. He started mumbling in his sleep, repeating foreign phrases in a voice that didn't sound like his. Sometimes it was my name. Sometimes it was just whispers in a strange tongue. I found bruises on his chest, circular patterns like rings pressed into his skin. He said it was probably just the game, his job. I checked the camera footage again. At 3:17 a.m., just static for a second, no glitch, no cut. But there it was again. Shadow figure, just standing there, watching us sleep. That morning, Dean had a doctor's appointment, and Diana had to go to work. I was alone in the flat for the first time in days. Something told me to explore my flat, and that's when I found it. Tucked under my bed, wedged into the slats. an old tin once used for breath mints, carved with jagged sigils that looked etched into the surface by a pin. It smelled like campfire and sage. It looked as if it had once burned in fire and was rescued before it could be destroyed. It was sealed with black candle wax. I cracked the seal with a knife and opened it. Inside, a black piece of yarn with long, curly red hair, my hair, wrapped around it. A small bag of herbs I didn't recognize, a bone shard, and a piece of charcoal, toenail clippings, a tiny crystal, and a small photo bound in black ribbon of me and Dean cuddling on the couch in his flat. I googled the sigils. It was a binding box, black magic, the kind used in summoning and invocation of demonic forces. One name kept appearing alongside the symbols, the rite of ash and silence. That's when I started searching Diana's room. I didn't want to, but something inside me, something sharper than fear, told me to look. And in the back of her closet, behind a stack of nursing books, I found a weathered black journal. Not Diana's, Anthony's. His name was on the cover. The first entry was over a year ago. It read, "I have found her, the perfect wife." Every page was filled with scrawled handwriting. Mallory, Mallory, Mallory. My name repeated over and over, circled, underlined, traced with care. Dates, times, hairstyles, clothes worn, favorite foods, favorite hangouts, a drawn map of my bedroom, images from my social media printed and pasted to the pages. He had tables of my daily routines, my class schedule, even the days of my menstrual cycle. And one page near the back, labelled in all caps, "The cleansing. She is soiled." It was dated the day Dean first slept over. In the book was a sketch of the sigil on the box I found, a photo of me and Dean sleeping, one I'd never seen before. Dark red stains that looked like dried blood marked the pages. Dean's name, written in scrawled pen and crossed out, over and over and over with the same sigil. That's when Diana walked in. She saw the book in my hands. I handed it to her. Her face drained when she looked through it. "I didn't know," she whispered. We looked at each other. I didn't know what to say, only that the truth was spreading like a sickness through both of us. That night, Diana was called in to cover a shift at the hospital. Dean asked her not to contact Anthony yet. We were going to formulate a plan before we called the authorities. She agreed. A few hours later, Dean suddenly started feeling ill and said he wanted to lie down. He fell into an unnatural sleep. I couldn't wake him. His skin was clammy, lips pale. I tried not to panic as I went to find my phone to call Diana. Then Anthony arrived. I didn't hear the door unlock, but I found him standing in the hallway, smiling, calm. My heart leapt to my throat. "I waited," he said. "I was patient. I honored the bond. But you let him ruin everything." He stepped forward, pulling something from his coat, a black velvet pouch. He poured the contents into his hand. Dirt, small bones, something darker that pulsed like it was alive. "You had to go and soil yourself," he said, shaking his head as if lecturing a misbehaving child. He looked disgusted with me. His eyes rolled back. He started muttering in that same tongue Dean had whispered in his sleep. He traced his finger in the air, then stepped toward me, raising a twisted shard of bone with a glowing red sigil. His face had changed, like something dark was possessing him. "You'll feel it for a minute," he said, his voice low and gravelly. "But then you'll be free." I screamed and ran towards the kitchen, trying to make my way to the front hallway. He followed. In the kitchen, I grabbed the closest thing I could find, a dirty coffee mug. I slammed it into his shoulder as hard as I could. The mug shattered across the tile. Anthony's face raged. He roared, more animal than man, as he lunged at me. I screamed again as he came for me. Then Dean appeared, pale but awake. Without hesitation, he tackled Anthony to the ground. They wrestled on the kitchen floor, shouting, screaming, breaking things. I tried desperately to find my phone, to call the police, but I didn't see it anywhere. Even in his weakened condition, Dean's athletic form proved to be too much for Anthony to fight. Breathless, Dean pinned Anthony down on the ground, his arm behind his back. A neighbor must have heard it and called the police. They arrived moments later. When they cuffed Anthony, he didn't resist. He just glared at me. "You were mine, princess," he said. "But you just couldn't wait, could you?" The subreddit vanished within hours. We gave the police everything. The journal, the binding tokens, the bone shard. His laptop was encrypted, but the files they pulled matched every post, every image. Diana was broken. She barely spoke to me after that. She asked me to move out. She would get a new roommate. The last thing she said was, "I saw the signs. I ignored them. He always wanted to know more about you. It was always about you." Dean got better. The bruises faded. His nightmares and his nosebleeds were gone. I moved in with him shortly after. Before I did, I opened my laptop for the last time in that flat, just to clear the camera files. I almost deleted them all at once. But something made me scroll to the night of Anthony's arrest. 3:17 a.m. I hit play. There it was, the shadow, tall, watching me sleep. Not Anthony, something else, its face half-formed, its mouth curled in a grin. And when it turned toward the camera, it didn't disappear. It smiled. So what do you think it was? The shadow watching them in her room? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story and want to see others like it, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell. We look forward to bringing you more tales from the shadows. Until next time.
Stay spooky.